What's up, guys? It's Tyler from Grace and Silence. Hope you're doing awesome. I'm super excited today because we got Cap and Connor from Mopsy, and I'm really excited to talk to these guys about their record, their live shows, some music, and just everything to do with this crazy occupation called being a musician.
Yup.
How you guys doing?
Doing wonderful.
Nervous.
Nervous?
Scared.
Terrified? No, I'm bringing the hot lights, dude.
Well,
No, for sure. But I kind of wanted to start the interview off just talking about how you guys met and how Mopsy formed.
Yeah.
that was kind of wild because we all like knew each other separately. We didn't meet any of us through each other, if that makes sense. Like
Sure.
I never introduced George to Connor. Me and George, drummer for Mopsy, was in a high school band together, and I was in a video, like I did a lot of video editing classes with Connor and like different, I don't know, nerdy classes in high school. And so we knew each other, and then Connor and George met.
We met at a Greta Van Fleet concert.
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
at a
Yeah.
concert.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, and then like you filled in for our high school band once. You had to fill in for the bassist, and we're like, dang, Connor's really good. And then like years later, we came back and we're like, let's start a band. And then Mopsy is formed, and like everybody's been so dedicated, and like,
That's great.
so yeah, we pushed hard on it, and that's kind of how we.
So what year did you guys like officially like all four
20
form the band?
This is 2021? 2020? No, it was 2020.
It had to be 21,
Yeah.
not 2020, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it was 21. But the part he neglects to say in high school is that he was in one band, and I was in another band in high school. And his band was primarily made up of people from our rival high school, because we went to the same high school.
Sure.
And so our high school had this end of year festival coming up that they called Woodstock. And so my band was played it the last 2 years, so we were gunning to play it again.
Oh yeah.
But this guy fucking sniped it with his out of town band.
Yeah.
So I actually hated him for a while.
Yeah. We didn't even like. I went to that school, but like.
But the majority of your band didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 4 other people in my band. So 1/5 of the band went to that school, and we got to play like the end of the year festival. And I didn't realize that we took it from anybody. But yeah, it was
Dick
pretty
move, Cap.
Well,
It worked out. It worked out.
good. If it makes you feel any better, I got my AirPods stolen at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh, no.
yeah, I guess karma came into play.
Yeah. What would you say are your guys' biggest influences as far as the music that you create?
I definitely have like listened to the Strokes, like a little fanboy ever since middle school.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people that listen to our music see the connection, but I personally don't. I feel like we're out of that realm a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of funny. Me and Connor have a very big similar interest in King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and a couple of other like smaller projects here and there. So I feel like we've used that band as like a mean of communication and writing. But I don't know. What do you think inspired your bass writing?
I was raised on a lot of like dad rock, but like especially Rush. My dad is like a huge Rush fan, and so Getty
Rush is awesome.
Yes.
No,
I
Getty's a
100%
killer bass player.
He's my inspiration. He's my muse. I don't think I play necessarily in like a similar style to him, but I try to match his like level of technicality.
You know, I think it's
trying
interesting
to.
that both of you kind of, because I can relate to that a lot as far as having bands that really inspire you, but they inspire you in a way that maybe isn't super representative of your sound. I mean,
Yeah.
frankly, I think the two biggest inspirations for how I and why I write music are like Pink Floyd and Radiohead. And like, based on that, you know, I would have, you know, done a prog rock project, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, just something about that, and then my own personal experiences influences it in a really different way. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, in terms of like, I don't know, cause like, it's weird whenever I like have inspiration from a band. There's even times where I'll be like, I'm gonna try and like copy what they do, and then in my path, or I guess like, during the process of me like attempting to emulate what somebody else is doing, I'll usually always miss and land on my own thing, and then yeah, and I'm stoked about that. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
like I'll be like, this sounds nothing like what I was going for, but I'd push that direction farther, and that's usually how yeah, a lot of my writing comes from that. So
No, I think that's great. I think that's a great way to go about it. Favorite guitar player?
favorite, I suck with names. I'm always like vaguely and whatever. There's one dude, a Chica, like it's usually like these little
Chicanito?
Yeah, a Chicanito. I got
Monster
obsessed just
player.
watching his stuff.
Absolute monster.
That guy was rad. There's another band. I always mix up their name with the name of the song. They have a song called like Son Holo. Shoot, I forget about that. They have this girl playing a guitar and she rips.
Oh, Covet?
Covet. That is it. Yeah.
Covet's fucking lit,
Covet's
dude.
way good. Her guitar playing, like,
She plays it like a piano, man.
Yeah. It's like, it's really odd how classical and then they got like rock influences in there.
Nah, they're one of the coolest, like, I don't know if they're like necessarily math rock. I'm gonna say math rock. They're one of like the coolest math rock bands like ever.
Yeah, I'd agree math rock is like in that realm. But yeah, she uploaded a video of her just playing the part, the entire song with no other instruments, just her and guitar. And yeah, I just realized how like awesome that was. Other than that, I don't know. I wouldn't say I've gained any inspiration because obviously I'm not the type to be like trying to play that wave guitar, but there are definitely people that stand out to me in terms of what I just think of like guitar players in general.
Yeah. No, and especially like there's quite a few modern players that mix all these different genres with this hyper technical proficiency. You know, guys like Tosin Abasi, Tim Henson, Mateus Asado, Mateus Mancuso, like they're just like these absolute shredders who can just do anything they want, and it's just super inspiring to see people master the instrument like that, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you got people like Geddy Lee who have like 8 minds and can sing, do the keyboards with his feet, and play bass at the same time.
Yeah. Not fair.
No, it's not fair at all.
Something to be upset about.
And they somehow, you know, Alex Lifeson, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, Neil Peart, one of the greatest writers and greatest drummers of all time,
Rest in peace.
and Geddy Lee all just happen to be in the same band. It's not fair.
Yeah, no, it's not fair at all.
No.
I love them to death.
No, it's they make some incredible music. At what age, like, did you guys start playing your instruments?
I started on ukulele in 4th grade,
Nice.
and then I think I kind of transitioned to guitar in 7th grade. I've never taken like official lessons though, so just I feel like I've always kind of vaguely played guitar, and that's why I'm at the level I was at.
Sure.
I'm at currently, even though I've been playing for so long. But yeah, 7th grade. When did you start playing bass?
Well, I didn't start with bass. The first band I ever played in like middle school was just bunch of friends got together because they would learning guitar and stuff. And I was like, well, I want to hang out with you guys. So I had taken piano lessons like everyone in Utah does.
Why is that so real though?
Yeah.
I swear.
And I was shit at piano, but I played keyboards in that band. And then that little neighborhood band, the guy who played bass in that band, you know, he graduated high school and was out and away into the world. And so it's like, well, we don't want to get anybody new. And I had done cello in like orchestra class through middle school and high school. And so I was like, I'll pick it up. So I guess I was like, I don't know, like 16 when I started playing bass. But cool. I could carry over a lot of like the technique from cello. And
Sure. And of course, I mean, I've never been able to like get down, you know, I had this class in high school because I went to a music school, and where we were just playing a bunch of different instruments and also learning how to compose for them. And so we would, you know, we didn't spend a ton of time playing them, more learning how to arrange for them, you know, the different ranges and how they're best utilized in like a composition. But we spent a little time playing like violin, saxophone. It's so difficult to play those like the fretless stringed instruments, dude. It is so hard.
And that's why I was like, oh yeah, I can do bass. It's so easy. I don't have to like intonate very much at all.
Like I respect like cello players a ton, and pretty much anyone who plays like fretless instruments. It takes a real ear to be able to do it at a proficient level.
I might have lost it since then, but
no, it takes practice, that's for sure. And so, obviously, growing up, as musicians in the modern era, there's a lot of differences between, maybe being a musician 30, 40, even 20 years ago versus now. And I think it would be interesting to get your insight on whether you think it's maybe more accessible now or more difficult now.
Yeah, I definitely think more accessible. I hear a lot of people argue that it was simpler back in the day, but I don't think that necessarily means easier. Because, I don't know, like, we all have so much accessibility. Obviously, social media gives me the chance to just do what everyone else is doing. Like, I feel like everyone's kind of on the same playing field, and it just depends on how much you want to go after it in that sense. But I don't know, like, your take on this?
Yeah, I kind of had a thought about this. I was looking through my parents' CD collection the other day, and I found a CD from my uncle back when he was in high school in a stupid little band. And I listened to his stuff, and, like, it's a high school band, but it was pretty good. And it kind of made me realize, like, they only could make a certain number of these CDs. Production was way harder back then. They were using, like, tapes. They didn't have computers and stuff. And if I wanted to listen to it today, I could find it nowhere. So, like, in terms of just sheer numbers of getting your music out there and getting listens, getting ears behind it, it's, like, way easier today.
Yeah.
You click a couple buttons and a million people can listen to it. Not that we have even close to a million people listening to it, but way more than, like, there's maybe, like, at max 100 of my uncle's little CDs out there in the world. So it's never...
Sure.
We've probably...
And,
way more listens.
I think an argument that a lot of people, or I guess not even an argument, a perspective that a lot of people have is that because it's so much easier to get music out there, the saturation in the music market is just to the point where because everyone can release music, everything kind of gets drowned out.
Yeah, I don't know. At the same time, I feel like this is kind of like a negative viewpoint, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, if you're just rolling the dice on listening to any artist, they're not going to be very great. So,
Or
like, in another
maybe it
way-
won't be your taste, right?
Yeah, and, like, so it'd help you stand out more if you're actually putting in the work. Because I feel like it is so saturated because a lot of people don't take it seriously, but they're still having fun dropping stuff. And
With a lower barrier to entry, there's a lower required, like,
Yeah.
skill set. So if people, not to put value judgments on people's music, but if
Yeah.
people
No,
want
sure.
to listen to, music that requires a little higher skill set, you'll stand out more than the people that,
Sure.
even though there's thousands of them, there's a big difference sometimes.
No, I think that often can be true. And I don't know, I think that maybe spreading music and sharing music back when it wasn't as accessible, I can't help but think that it must have felt more. It must have been more, when you couldn't just play any song, right? And so I kind of understand where people are coming from when they're like, well, it was easier back then. If you were a great live band, played and played a bunch of shows and you were super tight and you made great music, then maybe it was a little bit easier to get people to care back then because they weren't going to be able to just hear you anytime. They heard you there. They could buy your CD if they wanted to hear it again, or else they had to wait until you were back, or if you were a pretty big band, heard you on the radio. So I think that it's obviously become more accessible, but in a way that accessibility has created its own challenge, that wasn't there prior.
yeah, I think it'd be so cool to, like, value, like, a full CD or album. Like, I think that is a pretty cool difference. Because even myself, like, it's so easy just to pick your favorites off some album. I'm not typically the type of person that'll listen to an album front to back, like, more than once. But I feel like with people selling them, that was, like, your form of listening. Forced you to do that, which was, that's a pretty cool thing. And, like, music did mean a lot more, like, came to, like, listening to it, which is pretty rad. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting thing. But let's talk about your guys' debut record. And
What?
so when did you start writing it?
That's like such a blurred
It's a little harder of a question.
When did you start consciously like, okay, this is for the album?
That's good.
Yeah, that was like, I know the one that was like for the album was Domesticated. I felt like once we realized our set was kind of like all similar, like we had a good chunk of songs that we could all, I don't know, put together. We're like, these are all in the same genre realm. They fit together. We started working on the EP. I think it was after we wrote Making Out at Butt Rock. We were kind of like, let's write butt rock music. Was kind of the joke stuff that was just really fun.
High energy.
Yeah, we call it butt rock. We're like, no, don't take it too seriously.
No, it's like, I love the name of the record.
Yeah.
Just making out at butt rock.
Yeah, so since butt rock was the bit, that's how we came up with the name Making Out at Butt Rock, and we decided to lean into that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I feel like we've been writing songs since we started being a band, but they didn't always, mesh together well. We were figuring things out, and then I think we hit like a critical mass of like, oh, these songs go well together, and like we played this song, it doesn't really hit live. We don't really enjoy playing it as much. It doesn't match, and so just kind of like through process of just writing, it just kind of naturally happened. It's not like, all right, we need to write so many different songs for the EP.
Sure.
But once we had like a critical mass of like, oh, these ones go together. This inspired me to write another song like this. And
Totally.
It just kind of felt natural that way.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I love to see you guys live, and I want to come see you more. And being at your shows, it's super high energy. It's really fun, and like, feels great being there. And it seems like performing is like the best thing in the world, y'all, when you're up there. Is performing like the thing that you like really love about music? Is that your big deal for it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't think, I guess I say like I don't think very long term when it comes to music. Like, I'm not thinking about the permanence of my song. I'm thinking about like next time I hop up on stage, I'm like, is this gonna like have the emotion and the energy that I want to bring? Because the biggest thing is just like, I usually want to be high energy, or like at least very emotional, moving in some way.
Yeah. Be very present.
Yeah. And so like typically I think performing is like at the forefront of my mind. I'm like, I want to know how this will sound live, and then I'll figure out how to replicate it in a studio later, or like, recording that later.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to look at music, and I wish more artists. Apparently I've got a lisp now. I mean, I dig it, but I wish more musicians started thinking about how is this going to be live versus, all right, it's studio, we're going to chop everything up to all hell and then try to figure out how to do it live. I think that there needs to be kind of a return to where music should be about the performance, versus just about being able. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was cutting you off.
No, you're all good.
I think a lot of people do, what's it called? Kind of write in front of a DAW. Like,
sure.
I witnessed a lot of my friends, and I didn't realize how much differently Mopsy was writing music. I think in the past year, I've started working with other bands. A lot of people kind of be like, I had this idea for a song, and they'll present you with like a Logic file that has like a lot of different stuff. And the process of translation, not that there's anything wrong with this.
No, it's just a different style, right?
Yeah. And just kind of opened my eyes on like what we do is so different. I'll just kind of show up. We'll do something. We're like, oh, that's kind of sick. Let's expand on that. And then we're like, or honestly, we'll be like, that's kind of cliche and corny. And then we'll lean into it, and it ends up working out.
No, totally.
Our biggest focus is always like, how is it going to feel in the room, and how are people going to respond to it in a live setting?
So
for sure.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, a lot of people write in front of a DAW, and that's something that we've tried vaguely. That was kind of more like our What Happened release. Those two songs, because we have two guitar parts on them. We like tried to add another guitar part, and like, which was something I did not want to do with Making Out at Butt Rock EP. I realized, I think that was kind of like a lesson, because those songs are sweet recorded, but when we bring them to the live stage, it's just like, I've grown to not like them as much, and I don't want to have that happen with any other of my songs.
Yeah. So. I try to avoid like layering too many guitar parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the max that I've gotten okay with is like having 4, and that's like with a lot of with you know, a couple of them being doubles, right? So there's really like 3 parts, and then maybe just a double that's a different kind of tone, maybe a cleaner tone or whatever.
Yeah.
But just because outside of that, if there's a bunch of different harmonies, and because I have 2 guitarists in my band, so you know, we can manage some of that, but you know, I don't want to make something that doesn't translate. Like you guys were saying, you know, it's all about how is this going to feel in the room? How are we going to connect to our audience in a live setting with this piece of music? So that makes a lot of sense to me.
On the other end of that, we do double my guitar on all the tracks because I feel like using artificial things will help emulate the live sound better.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also, I mean, doubling guitars is just like, I mean, everyone's been doing that since Jimmy Page, you know, like that's just,
it's just what you do.
Yeah.
It just, frankly, and I shouldn't say it sounds better. It sounds fuller. It sounds fuller. It's a little bit more alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think when we record, that's what we, you know, our concern is like, how do we make this have the same energy as it did in the room? And that is much harder, we realized, than we thought. And so, little techniques like doubling guitars or, I don't know.
Stuff like that.
Compressing a lot. Compressing the shit out of
the shit out of the drums.
Yeah.
Dude. No, I love to see how different bands approach production, you know? Because there's so many interesting ways to change a song just based on how you use gain, how you use compression, and how you use different effects that maybe aren't even part of the mixing process that were just when you recorded, you know? And that stuff's fascinating to me. I could talk about that for hours.
Cap does all that. He's our guy.
I've been learning. I think making out at Butt Rock was my first real attempt at mixing, mastering anything. And so I gave it a good go. And that was like the first time I kind of like understood it. Like a lot of stuff clicked. And so, but I don't know. I'm excited to look back on that and be like, hopefully I can look back on that and be like, oh, I can do way better now. Because I know my mixing, mastering in that was still amateur, even though I feel like I put a lot of work into it. So yeah, that's also something that's like so fun to me, is the hours of listening to the same song and just tweaking and tweaking.
Fun.
Yeah, I didn't think that part of the process would be as fun, but just like the artistry that goes into like the recording process and not just the writing process is
for sure
really cool to me.
Yeah, it's like it's the whole other side to it, you know. Writing the song and recording the song, it's like very separate but like super equal importance, you know.
Yeah, it can change a lot, and that was something I didn't fully understand until like recently, and then took a big jab at it with the most recent release, and that was really cool. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So you got some upcoming shows.
Yeah, our next big show is gonna be Kilby Court. 30th KU Radio is gonna put it on for us, and they're calling it the
Gone Fishing Festival.
Gone Fishing Festival.
It's like a local showcase of
super
bands.
cool.
Yeah.
Playing with a lot of bands. We just barely played with Antella, and they're gonna play with us again, and they rip.
They do rip.
I got to see them live for the first time. Like, I don't know, that was probably almost a week ago. I'm not positive, but yeah, way excited that we get to play with them again in the same month. But yeah, it's going to be a big event. I think there's like 5 different bands, and we're going to close it out. So we play last, and I'm really stoked on that.
No, that's really awesome. So like, what's the lineup for the show?
What can I name them all? We got the
You can pull up a post if you need to. There's nothing wrong with looking on your Instagram,
Probably.
man. You can look at your notes.
Yeah,
This isn't a test.
No looking.
Like, can I remember all of them?
Eyes on your paper, Cap.
We haven't posted it yet, except for on our story.
Really?
It's in our future shows highlights. Yeah. So
we got The Drought, us, Sinking About, Lapdog, Sad Cowboy, and Intellect.
oh, that's another huge one is Lapdog.
Yeah. I like Lapdog a lot.
They are so good, and we're trying to plan a crazy Halloween show with them, and hopefully that'll pull through. We met them at Battle of the Bands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're so good. Yeah,
So nice, too.
yeah, I really like Lapdog and Antella are the bands that I've seen play before, and they're gonna shred.
No, that's super awesome. So, are you both from Utah?
Yeah, yeah. Was born and raised both Woods Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Both in the same city, because we went to the same high school. But yeah, never moved out.
And what's been your experience like in this scene?
I really like the Salt Lake City music scene. It's crazy, and I hear people from the outside actually give it big props as well. I guess most other venues in other place have like quota ticket sales, which is something that I've experienced before, but not anymore. Like, it's just kind of standard at the venue that they're not going to give a shit about ticket sales anymore. So that's way awesome. And learning that that's not a thing in other places is, something that I'm way grateful about, because I don't know, that sounds stressful and just not as fun if they're like, you have to at least sell 50 tickets or you have to at least do this. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the part of music that I want to focus on at all. And I think there's a lot of venues out here right now that guarantee like $100 payment no matter the turnout now.
Yeah.
So if you can book a show with them, they'll just pay you $100 and not worry about it, which is just insane to me. So,
And it's like a very collaborative environment too. I feel like there's not really very few times is someone gonna like cool guy you because they're being competitive. Like,
Sure. People aren't like holding the cards to their chest.
yeah,
the divas.
the divas. There's very few of those. Most people are just so genuinely nice and kind, and just they're there to have a good time, and you're there to have a good time. So
No, that's great. And no, and as it's not, because it's obviously not like New York or LA, but it's kind of nice that it's not, it's a little bit more tight knit, especially in different communities. Like the Ogden music scene is its own thing, Salt Lake is its own thing. Even Logan's kind of its own thing.
yeah.
I feel like comparing it to New York and LA is where you run into like the saturation problem, though.
For sure, right?
But I don't know. I've also heard that like I've surprisingly heard, I just figured the denser population would equal more musicians, but I heard that that's not really the case. I've had some people move out, some friends move out to LA. They say like nobody does music out here. It's like not as expected, or or at least they'll probably do different genres of music that don't require like a band composition. So writing's pretty different, but I was really surprised to hear that. And so I think Salt Lake just is kind of this perfect mix of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Especially with networking, like just the amount of friends that I've made out there. And now lately we've been turning all of our concerts into parties that all of our friends can show up to. So it's not as hard to pull up a crowd.
Yeah.
I'm really stoked that we're in the Salt Lake scene. And I feel like it's only getting better so far. So.
And it's kind of unique that we're like a Passover city a little bit. Like they played in Denver or wherever, Red Rocks, and they'll pass through and play a show on a weeknight, and so that gives local bands more opportunities to play with touring bands. And
For sure.
even if they're weeknight shows, it's more opportunities for more opportunities.
Yeah. Like why?
Yeah.
Anytime that you get to play, I mean, that's the best.
Yeah. That's something that we had to pull the reins on so we could actually release Making Out at Butt Rock, I remember.
It's like, whoa. We can't do like 6 shows this month.
Yeah. We used to just love saying yes to everything, but then I kind of realized we got to prioritize other areas of our music.
Yeah, for sure. There's a time to be like, let's play every single show ever. And then there's a time to be like, let's kind of go into writing mode and, take our time and just kind of work on the art for a bit.
That was definitely something like, I think starting off as a band, we were just so excited to play shows. Like we neglected everything else pretty consistently. But that's something that we're getting better at, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got another question. I think this is a phenomenal one. Are you ready?
Oh, okay.
I bet you've never heard this before.
Oh no.
I'm ready.
What do you see for the future of Mopsy?
No idea. We
Die
definitely
by 27.
Yeah.
Love it.
27
At
club.
27. You can't. It's not before.
Right. I don't want to miss out on it.
Exactly. Totally.
You gotta do that. That means you made it. Hopefully.
Exactly. Have to have.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm not sure. No, I think Mopsy's goals. We definitely like want to make it, like, of course, if we could, but that's never been like really at the forefront. We're mostly focused on the next step, and right now we're just kind of like hoping to play bigger local shows and stuff like that. Like
Write more music, release more music.
yeah, I think the next step currently is just we have like a fuzzier EP coming out that's going to be a bit more slower tempo typically,
Yeah.
but fuzzier.
Fuzzier. What do you
yeah.
mean by that?
Kind of like shoegaze. I don't know. I
Ooh.
hate naming genres because
No, this is time to tease it for the fans for
Yeah.
Instagram Reels, bro.
I have no idea. There's like no clue actually. What would you say about like our next release if you could?
Yeah, it's more paced. It's more slow paced. It's I don't know. I think making out of butt rock is awesome because it's about speed and energy and just in your face having a good time. And this one is, you know, what can we evoke by taking a step back and, you know, it's still Mopsy. It's still us. We're writing the same styles, but we just want to say different things, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just very loosely got like 3 songs lined up for it so far. I might just release them as singles as time goes on. Lately realized I don't think like album releases are as big as a deal as they used to be. I think just getting consistent singles out is actually very beneficial. So we're just kind of figuring all that out. Very early stage, but going to start recording. And typically once we start recording, the rest of the process is pretty quick. So yeah, hopefully we'll have fuzzy songs out soon, whatever. If that's the best way to describe it. I don't know.
No, I think that's great. And there's one song in particular I wanted to talk about, which was Vampire Girlfriend. Just because that's probably my favorite Mopsy song.
I'm stoked to hear that. I feel like it's not as popular of a pick, so yeah. That's probably was my favorite on the album. Like, yeah, I think that's when I listen to it, I'm like, this should be the song that people like. I'm like, when I listen back to it, I hear the mix and everything. And yeah, the lyrics are a lot of fun on that one. I don't know, the writing process on that. That one was like one of the older ones that we wrote forever ago before we actually finally got around to recording it. And I don't even like remember the writing process. I showed up and I was like, I had the chords and like the basic melody down. And I was like, we'll do this. And I think it came together very quickly. And the funny part is that song, I think went from recording, mixed, mastered. Like, and it was no time. We probably finished that song in like 4 hours total.
It was like the last thing we did on the EP.
Yeah, it was just like, I just remember we put it together. I already had some plugins from our other songs on the album, and I just kind of copy pasted.
Sure.
And it came together so quick. It took no adjustments. We first taked like all the instrument parts, and yeah, like I just remember when we put it together, we're like, do we need to do anything? Because it's kind of like,
Sure. It was,
we're surprised, and we're like, no. We're like,
you just weren't trusting it. You were like, there's no way.
Yeah.
It can't be this easy.
But I think that's it's a good song when it just is easy. Like it comes
Yeah, when
together.
it just kind of flows.
You don't have to fight it.
No, totally. And, you know, sometimes there are songs that will take you like months to write, and there's others that'll come out in 45 minutes, you know?
yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's always great when you can get in that flow and it's just effortless.
Yeah.
And so where do you guys record?
We record in a drummer's basement. We just use like some, not the most optimal setup, just Focusrites and like some,
Like one Focusrite plugged into another Focusrite.
yeah, we're just kind of using whatever. We only live tracked But I'll Listen. That's our only live track song. Typically we record everything separately. But yeah, just in the basement. We don't hit a studio or anything like that.
Sounds really good though.
Yeah, thank you. We've tried studios, but typically the extra time it takes to get to a studio and all that, and we've had results that we just don't like. I realized having absolutely everything in our hands, at least so we can learn what we like and don't like,
Yeah.
because I feel like we were pretty inexperienced walking into studios and would be like,
Sure.
do what you think is best, and we put too much trust in other people.
And you know, maybe weren't at a place where you could really vouch for what your vision was yet.
Exactly. Like, just a lot of inexperience. So we just kind of figured people would know what to do based off of our live set, which is, a lesson that I've definitely learned. So, yeah, we have a lot of fun just doing it in our own spots and just because we also scrap a lot. I think there's so many songs we scrapped. There was like 2 songs that were supposed to be on the EP that we gave up on.
Just weren't good enough.
Yeah, so still we're like very much so in like a learning process of like recording and then trying again. So
I think that it's probably best to kind of, you know, trim the fat off those records, right? It's like, if you're not doing your best work and releasing your best work, then why do it, right?
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there's just those songs where it's like, it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. A couple months goes by, it's not gonna get there.
Exactly. I think my biggest fear is releasing a song that I'll regret later, which is definitely something I've done, like to some extent, but I really don't want that for Mopsy. So yeah, I mean, like, I want to feel very confident about everything I release. So,
no, totally. Yeah. Well, I've loved talking to you guys.
Likewise.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna come to that show on the 30th. Like that's gonna be really, really fun. I can't miss
Kilby
that.
Court. It's always
That one.
Yeah, it's gonna be
This
fun.
is our first Kilby show this year, which is nuts. So we're way pumped for it. We love playing Kilby.
No, that's great, dude. It's always a vibe there. And August 30th, Mopsy, go see him.
Rock and roll.
But I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
I try, we see, we fight.